Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about how to use StatDisk assignment, the StatDisk.com to complete the StatDisk assignment. And I'm using StatDisk assignment number 4, the sample, to help you complete those actual problems that are in MyMathLab for the 4th and final StatDisk assignment. Okay, so let's start with problem number 1. In a Pew Research Center poll of 745 randomly selected adults, 589 said that it is morally wrong to not report all income on tax returns. Use a 0.01 significance level to test the claim that 75% of adults say that it is morally wrong to not report all income on tax returns. Okay, so this is a hypothesis test. So here we're testing a claim about a population proportion. And how do I know that? Because I have the percentage of 75%, or as a decimal, 0.75. So it tells me I'm testing a claim about a population proportion. And this can be done in StatDisk. So we're going to go directly to StatDisk. Okay, so pretty much you should be able to log into StatDisk with your email address and password that you created. Okay, so to go to hypothesis testing, we have to go to analysis on the left-hand side. So click on analysis. We're going to go down to highlighting hypothesis testing. Click on that. Now, we're doing a proportion because we were given a percent in that particular problem. So here we're going to select proportion 1 sample because we're only dealing with 1 sample in this case. All right, so this is what's on the left-hand side. Okay, now as you can see on the top, you're going to see this drop-down menu. You have to select the correct one that is related to was given in this particular problem. Now, we are to use a 0.01 significance level to test the claim that 75% of adults, it doesn't say less than or it doesn't say greater than. Okay? Because it doesn't give any type of directional language there in that particular problem. So we're going to have to use the one that says not equal to. Okay, so you have to read that problem very carefully to see which one of these you're going to need to use. In this case, we have to use not equal to because it doesn't give less than or greater than. So it has to be not equal to. Now, for the significance level, the default is 0.05. In the problem that I read to you for sample problem number 1, we're to use a 0.01 significance level. So we need to change that to 0.01 as our significance level. And then go down to the claimed proportion. That claim was 75% of adults say that it is morally wrong to not report all income on tax returns. 75%, that's your claim. As a decimal, it'd be 0.75. Go down to sample size. Okay, if you look at it, there was a poll of 745 randomly selected adults. So that's your sample size, 745. You'll type that in. And then go down to the number of successes, where 589 said it is morally wrong to not report all income on tax returns. So you'll type in 589 for the number of successes. And then you will click the green evaluate button. Okay, because in the problem, they're going to ask in MyMathLab, what is the test statistic? Here it is. 2.56, rounded to 2 decimal places. So the test statistic will be 2.56. And then they're going to ask what is or what are the critical values. Here they give you these. Those are your critical values. And here you're going to have to separate this by commas because in MyMathLab, they don't have that plus or minus symbol that they have right here. So you have to say 2.575, comma, negative 2.575 because of the plus or minus. So here you have two critical values. In this case, positive 2.575 and negative 2.575. The next question they're going to ask is, what is the p-value to 4 decimal places? Here's the p-value right here, 0.0105. That would be the p-value, rounded to 4 decimal places. And then the next thing they're going to ask is, what is our decision? And that is, do you reject the null hypothesis or do you fail to reject the null hypothesis? Okay. The rule that you use is this. If your p-value that you come up with is less than your level of significance, then you reject the null hypothesis. If your p-value is less than or equal to your level of significance, which is in this case 0.01, you have to reject the null hypothesis. Otherwise, fail to reject the null hypothesis. In this case, if you look at this p-value of 0.01048, if you compare that to 0.01, you'll see that your p-value is greater than your level of significance of 0.01. This means you must fail to reject the null hypothesis. And if you fail to reject the null hypothesis, then that means your conclusion, which is the next thing they're going to ask for, is this, that there is not sufficient evidence to either support or reject the claim. In this case here, the null hypothesis was that it was equal to that 75%. So that null hypothesis was P is equal to, okay? So here, there is not sufficient evidence to reject the claim that the proportion of people or adults that said that it is morally wrong to not report all income on tax returns. Or saying that it is that there is not sufficient evidence to reject the claim that 75% of adults say that it is morally wrong to not report all income on tax returns. Okay, that's how you do that first problem. Okay, now let's go to problem number 2. It says here the U.S. Mint has a specification that pennies have a mean of 2.5 grams. A simple random sample of 37 pennies manufactured after 1983 were selected. Those pennies have a mean weight of 2.49910 grams and a standard deviation of 0.01648 grams. Use a 0.05 significance level to test the claim that this sample is from a population with a mean weight greater than 2.5 grams. Well, notice that we see mean weight all the way through this problem. That tells me we have to test the claim about a population mean. Okay. That's how you can tell that you have to test a claim about a population mean, because it says mean weight. And it also gives standard deviation as well. So that means you're testing a claim about a population mean. So we're going to do that in StatDisk. All right, in this case here, go to Analysis, go to Hypothesis Testing. This time, you're going to select the one that says Mean One Sample, because for now, we're only dealing with one sample. So you want the mean one sample. Click on that. All right, so now, first of all, we need to choose one of these three options here. So in that particular problem, we're using a 0.05 significance level to test a claim that this sample is from a population with a mean weight greater than 2.5. So we need to select this option that says population mean greater than the claimed mean. That's the one we want for this sample problem number 2. Okay, and then for the significance level, we're using a 0.05. They give you that already as a default significance level, so we don't need to change that. But if it's 0.01, you need to change it to 0.01. Or if it's 0.10, you need to change it to 0.10. Whatever they give you, that's the significance level you need to use here. The claimed mean. Okay. We're testing the claim that this sample is from a population with a mean greater than 2.5 grams. So 2.5 is the claimed mean. The population standard deviation, it's going to be left blank because we don't know that. So we leave that blank. The sample size. They took a simple random sample of 37 pennies. So we type in 37 in that box for the sample size. Let's go for the sample mean. We were told that those 37 pennies have a mean weight of 2.49910. So we type in 2.49910. And then you're given the standard deviation of 0.01648. Okay. And then we click on Evaluate. Okay, so in that particular problem, they're going to ask those same 5 questions. What is the test statistic? Here it is. In this case, to 3 decimal places, it will be 0.332. Because the 1 is less than 5, the 2 remains the same. So negative 0.332 is your test statistic. Then they ask, what is the critical value? Here it is. To 3 decimal places, it will be 1.688. That's your critical value. Next is the p-value to 4 decimal places. To 4 decimal places, this will be 0.6292. Okay. And then next is, what is your decision? Fail to reject the null hypothesis or reject the null hypothesis. In this case, your p-value must be less than your level of significance, which is here, to reject the null hypothesis. Notice that 0.6292 is much greater than your level of significance of 0.05. So that means we must fail to reject the null hypothesis. So if we fail to reject the null hypothesis, then our conclusion, which is the next thing they're going to ask you, is that there is not sufficient evidence to support the claim. Because in this case here, our claim is the alternative hypothesis, and we fail to reject the null hypothesis. So there's not sufficient evidence to support the claim that, in this case, the sample is from a population with a mean weight greater than 2.5 grams. Okay, that's how you pretty much interpret that. Okay, now let's look at the very last problem. sample problem number 3. It says here, a coin mint has a specification that a particular coin has a mean weight of 2.6 grams. That's the claim. A sample of 38 coins was collected. Those coins have a mean weight of 2.59385 grams and a standard deviation of 0.01648 grams. Use a 0.05 significance level to test the claim that this sample is from a population with a mean weight less than 2.6 grams. Do the coins appear to conform to the specifications of the coin mint? Okay, so we'll go to StatDisk. Now, again, if you want to, you can start from scratch by going to analysis, go to hypothesis testing, then mean one sample, because in that problem it does say mean weight again. Now, let's read this problem because we have to choose one of these 3. We're using a 0.05 significance level to test the claim that the sample is from a population with a mean weight less than. So we have to choose the one that says population mean less than the claimed mean. All right, so our significance level is still going to be 0.05 as indicated in that sample problem. So we don't need to change that. All right, go to the claimed mean. We were told we're testing the claim that the sample is from a population with a mean weight less than 2.6 grams. So 2.6 would be your claimed mean. The population standard deviation is left blank because we will never know what the population standard deviation is. The sample mean in this case is 38 coins. There were 38 coins in that sample. And then the sample mean that they give you is 2.59385. The sample standard deviation was 0.01648. Okay. Now we're going to click on evaluate. So in this case, the test statistic, which is the first thing they're going to ask for, is this, negative 2.300. Actually, negative 2.300, because they want this one to 3 decimal places. Excuse me. Then the critical t-value, or the critical value in this case, would be this, negative 1.687 to 3 decimal places as well. And then finally, the p-value to 4 decimal places, this will be 0.0136. Because this 8 will make that 5 a 6, so it'll be 0.0136 as your p-value. All right, now, the next thing they ask for is state the conclusion, whether to reject the null or fail to reject the null hypothesis. Again, the p-value must be less than or equal to your significance level in order for you to reject the null hypothesis. Otherwise, you fail to reject the null hypothesis. So if we look at 0.0136, that is less than 0.05, which is our significance level. So in this case, we can reject the null hypothesis. And if we reject the null hypothesis, then that means that there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that the sample is from a population with a mean weight less than 2.6 grams. Okay, or you can say specifically the sample of coins that we're dealing with is from a population with a mean less than 2.6 grams. Okay, so this should assist you with the actual StatDisk assignment located in MyMathLab. So you have to have StatDisk.com open to do it, and then you'll type in your answers in MyMathLab. Okay. Please feel free to email me or call me if you have any questions about the assignment.